Hi there! In this video I'm going to do something I've wanted to do for a long time and take some pictures of trees in the fog. So you can probably tell from behind me that it's quite foggy this morning, and a while ago I spied some trees in a field that really will only be any good in conditions like this. Now there's also quite hard frost, so it could make the scene even more interesting. It's just a little bit of a walk from where I live, so I'm setting off, but we're stuck near to where we live. We can't make unnecessary journeys at the moment because England is under full lockdown again at the moment. So we've got to make the most of what we've got and get out and enjoy your photography. So I'm having to be quite careful. This road is quite slippery, but it's the quickest way of getting to where I want to get to. These trees in this field are not too far away from where I live, and hopefully this fog should really make them stand out. Once I've finished taking those trees, then I'm going to have a walk back through the wood and the field that I used in a previous video a few days ago that you may have already seen on the channel, and see if I can get some pictures of trees in the fog instead of the snow this time. So this should be an interesting morning. Woo! Very, very icy just here on the road. The good thing about these conditions is that when you have fog that's quite thick like this, it completely obscures the background and it makes any trees or features that you choose within the frame to really stand out, and it really isolates them and makes the scene much more simple. And that is a key to good photography. If your pictures are very, very complicated, then it just distracts the viewer. If you can cut out any mess and distraction, it just makes a picture much more pleasing. I'm in the field now. You can see one of the trees that I'm thinking of, and the conditions are really great. This tree here really stands out from the background, and there are some other trees further down the field that I'm going to take in a second. Hopefully what I might be able to do is get several trees in the same shot but at different distances away from the camera, and that should get some good regression as well. So I'm going to keep my eye out for that. So I'll talk you through it as I do it. To get this first shot, what I've done is I've put the camera into manual focus mode. To get a good focus on the tree, what I've done is you may be able to see the green focus point just here. That is where I'm going to zoom into. So if I zoom in as tightly as I can to that spot, then I can use a manual focus ring just to adjust the focus, looking on the screen on the back to make sure it's as precise as I can get it. And then as I zoom out, you may be able to see that there's a slight yellow tinge around the branches, and that is called focus peaking. That's another way of checking that that area is in focus. So if I come all the way out, I've got the scene that I set up, and then I can take the shot. Now you might also notice from the meter just here that it's quite overexposed. Now if I set that right down to what the camera thinks is a good exposure, you can see that the screen is completely black almost. That's because the fog is throwing off the camera's metering. So I'm having to overexpose by pretty much 2 stops. I might even give it another third of a stop just to get it, and that's still not blowing out the highlights. If we look at the histogram for that, let's just put that on the screen. If you see the histogram for that, it's still nowhere near blowing out the highlights, and that was 2 1/3 stops overexposed. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to click like, subscribe and the bell notifications. It really helps me out a lot, and it helps the channel to grow. On this shot, you should be able to see that I've put the leveling display just here, and the horizontal line is green, meaning that the picture and the camera is level. But however, if you look at the ground, because the ground is on a slight slope, it looks slightly unlevel. So I'm just going to cheat this picture ever so slightly, and so I'm going to level the actual ground up with the guidelines on the grid on the camera. Even though the camera itself is not completely level, I think it just makes the picture look slightly better. So what I'm also going to do with this particular tree is I'm going to take a shot of it in landscape, but I'm going to leave quite a bit of space over to one side of the tree, and the theory behind that is I can use that space for putting writing in, probably the thumbnail for this video. But magazines quite like it as well. If you take a picture and leave blank space where they can put text, if you're thinking of selling your pictures, then magazines will really like something that's got a bit of negative space in it where they can stick some text. Just goes to show that you have to be out and be very quick to catch these kind of conditions. The fog's already starting to lift, and I've only been here for perhaps half an hour and it's completely changed, but I'm using it to my advantage. What I've got is a tree in front of me, but the far trees at the edge of the field are starting to show up now. They're still in mist, and so I'm using those as a bottom of the picture just to give some kind of depth. So there's still pictures to be had, and the sun's just starting to poke through as well, which is going to change the atmosphere as well. So I'll crack on. So I've got a shot here that I've set up that I really like. I've got a different tree that I've not used before. I actually think it's the nicest tree of the three that I photographed this morning. I just couldn't see it when I first got here because it was in mist. But I've got the sun behind it, and some of the trees on the edge of the field have started to show up now. Still in the mist, but I've just made sure that I've framed them so that they're not being cut into by the branches of the main tree. So it's just a case of moving the camera around to make sure that they fit nicely within all the holes and all the spaces that the branches leave of the main tree. And then I've taken the shot. One tip that you might find useful is to zoom in a little bit more. If you have the lens very wide, then it tends to really put the background as if it's really far away. By zooming in, it compresses the distances, and so it seems to bring the background closer, and it makes for a more pleasing image, in my opinion anyway. You might have a different opinion, but I think it really works much better for this kind of image. I'll leave you with some of my favourite shots from the morning. What a great morning of photography that's been. I've really enjoyed myself. I've had some changeable conditions. I'm glad I got here when I did, because firstly, I got some very thick fog, so I really was able to isolate those trees. But then as the fog started to lift, I got some amazing lighting conditions with the sun poking through the mist. And I think I've got some of the strongest images I've had for a long time. And it was really exhilarating as that happened. So different conditions, but it's given some different shots. I think the mist has pretty much lifted so much now that I'm not going to get any more fog shots this morning. Despite not being able to travel, it's not stopped me getting out of the house. I've walked less than a mile from where I live, and this morning I've got some great photographs. You've got to take advantage of what you've got available. As always, check out my Instagram, that's at Darrell Oakden Photography. There you can see lots of pictures that I put up before they go into videos. Also message me there and down below in the comments. I love reading everything from all of my subscribers. Watch out for next week's video. That goes live at 4 o'clock on Sunday. But all that's left now is to say stay safe, and I'll see you soon. So you can probably tell, oh gosh, this road is very slippery. This tree here, oh, nearly falling over. Ooh, it's cold.